I am excited to talk about this episode of, Sex and the City.
Kevin and John have not had much going on for the last 20 years that they've been friends. Still they miss that hit show that was on HBO. But it's time to whip them cosmopolitans. Now they're just two dudes watching Sex in the City. And they're probably gonna miss the point. Cause they're Sex in the City, oh. Sex in the City, oh. Sex in the City, oh.
Hey everybody, welcome to Sex in the City. My name is Kevin McCaffrey, and I'm here with your votre garçon, your boy,
Johnny the Voice Daily.
Johnny the Voice Daily.
The disembodied voice. That's me, baby.
John, you know, I just never thought a shiksa goddess like you would fall for a putz like me. And I'm glad you did, and I'm glad everyone did. This is episode 6.1. It's a season premiere.
Wow, and maybe, possibly the last one, depending on how firm you are with the alphabet.
Yes, depending on how you count your seasons, I guess. The name of the episode is To Market, and John, do you know what that phrase is from?
You know what? I actually didn't, and then as I was coming upstairs to do this with you, she said, "Oh, it's from that nursery rhyme or something." And
Kristen
I was like,
said that.
Yeah.
Jamie told me what the nursery rhyme was too. I also did not know what this was.
No, I improv'd a little nursery rhyme for her that was mostly just the phrase "to market" said in different ways.
Okay.
And yeah. But no, I don't know what the actual nursery rhyme is. To market. To mark it very well.
Around and around and around again to hell. No, this is supposedly it's to market to buy a fat pig. Home again, jiggity jig. And then there's a second verse, to market to buy a fat hog. home again, jiggity jog.
I don't understand how that's a thing. Who you would say that to, or why, under what circumstances? Like a child? You say that to a child?
It's weird how much fat is in there. It's a
lot of fat shaming. Yeah. Different era, different time.
To Market is the name of the episode. It's written and directed by MP King. This aired June 22nd, 2003. Popped a 7.3 rating, as you'd expect, John.
Let me enter that into the calculator.
Yeah, sure. Popped a pretty good one. It looks like you. What happened there?
I think I got a pubic hair in that one, Kev.
God, you are going hard off the bat. Also follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Instagram at Sex and the City. It's on Twitter at Sex City. It's Pod. And if you have not given us a rating or review yet, please feel free to do that. We love it. We bloody love it. John, I'm gonna read the HBO recap. Thank you. Good. In the season...
It says the whole song.
John's running the sound effects now out of his home studio in Long Island, and the sound effects themselves are great. We're just working out the kinks. They are 3 minutes long per sting.
I'm sorry to have interrupted you. Let me just seamlessly transition you into the next thing.
Thank you. In the season 6 premiere, Carrie says, "What's the deal with believing her stock has gone up?" Carrie believes her stock has gone up thanks to her hot date with new flame Jack Berger. Meanwhile, Miranda faces her true feelings about Steve. Charlotte is dismayed by Harry's refusal to marry a non-Jew. And Samantha bemoans the gentrification of her area until a new neighbor begins listing moans of another tenor. Jesus Christ, what poetry major?
Moans of another tenor.
Yeah, all right.
That was my favorite Nora Ephron book.
Yeah. I just read a Nora Ephron book.
Oh, yeah? Which one? Was it Moans of a Different Tenor?
No, it wasn't. It was a different one. It was
was that the one about banging one of the three tenors? About banging Pavarotti?
Yeah, she fucked Pavarotti. Yeah. John, can you name either of the other tenors?
I can. Placido Domingo.
Domingo.
And I almost got that 100% right.
Yeah, so. You really did. And then,
Samantha
was the third one, of course. That's the three tenors. Yeah. All right. So we've got. So that's the rundown. Where do you want to start on this, John?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say I like a little spoiler alert. Like Charlotte, I've converted a little bit from the Church of Satan to the Church of Natterday Saints.
Ooh.
That's right. I'm drinking Natural Lights Natterdays. It's a strawberry lemonade flavored drinking beer.
It's a beer for drinking. Yeah, that's like when Bud Light had their whole ad campaign was just drinkability. It was like the premise is just like you can drink it. Like that's
it
the
has
sales
a low
point.
Viscosity.
Yeah.
It will travel down your throat.
It'll go down. You'll get it down.
I'll describe the can to you. It's pink. It's got plastic flamingos on it, like you find in a lawn. It's tasty, and it's only like $20 for a 30-pack. So the price is right.
Hell yeah. I want to say, John, I finished in the grand tradition of weird booze that's just left over. Like you used to bring, longtime listeners will know, you used to, when we did this in person before the plague, you used to bring booze that was just left over in your mother-in-law, my Aunt Mary's basement, and we would finish it off here. So I did that at my house. I finished off this weird botanical vodka that has been here for a long time. John, where should we start?
It starts very almost in media res, but just outside of Carrie's door, almost a Home Alone-esque time here as Carrie has overslept in the city that never sleeps. Kevin, she's overslept, and she has to run out of her house to.
When she said she slept in, but the first thing I wrote down was for what. You know, because she normally, so really she overslept the one day there was an actual morning thing that she had somewhere to be. But go ahead. So she's running out.
She's running out. I couldn't tell if she was still wearing pajamas because it had like a satiny look to it, what she was wearing.
A little kimono-esque, perhaps?
A little kimono-esque. And we don't know what it is she's late for. And she's having, oh my gosh, you know these mornings, Kevin, a city dweller like yourself, where you're running out the door, you're trying to find a cab, you can't find one, your Jimmy Choos are getting stuck on the sidewalk.
Yep.
She finally gets a cab, and she's like, I need to go downtown, and I need to be downtown in 30 minutes. And she's at 23rd Street. She sees the 23rd Street subway stop. I mean, it seems like a very easy feat to accomplish to me.
Yes. You can get from 23rd to the stock exchange, I mean, in probably 12 minutes on the subway, I would think. You know, like it's a pretty straight shot. So she gets out after getting a little catcalled by people. She then, just one guy's like, hey, Blondie, you can ride with me, while he's also in the same traffic jam. So that happens, and then she gets in the subway. And John, were you as taken aback as I was when she got in the subway?
Well, I know that she's never ever in her whole life taken the subway before.
According to our research department, Kyla Deichel, our guest co-host on episode 5.5, this is the first time that she's taken the subway on air. And I even before Kyla mentioned that, I thought that was the case too. I don't think we've ever seen her, and we still, I don't think, actually saw her in the subway, right? She could have just gone halfway down the stairs and turned around like, ew, 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 and run back up.
Yeah, I know a couple episodes ago, she made a point of saying that she would like never take the subway. She was very disgusted at the thought, and it was like, what the how could you live in New York and not take the subway?
It's impossible, yeah, unless you're just like wildly wealthy.
Well, it turns out the reason she had to go downtown as she comes out
for herself
of the subway
not for the ladies or for the fellas, just downtown for herself and for the American stock market.
Yeah, she had to go downtown for the fellas and ladies of the New York Stock Exchange.
Here comes the money.
Yeah.
Oh, damn, dude. You are a sound effects genius. Well, we wasted so many episodes with me hitting buttons.
She's at the New York Stock Exchange, and why is she there? Is she going to go on the floor and buy and sell stocks? No, she's going to ring the bell, I guess.
Yes.
Is what it turns out. As she goes through the metal detector, there's like a big fracas about enhanced security post 9/11, I guess.
Part of the rundown that researcher extraordinaire Kyla Deichel gave us was that this, in the commentary for this episode, Michael Patrick King, who wrote and directed it, said they tried to have it like really fast paced to show that New York was back after 9/11 and that it was safe to visit here. So that was like an actual conscious thing that they were trying to do. It was this is their way of showing and saying that New York is back post 9/11. It's alive and it's okay to come here.
It's okay to come here. You'll be inconvenienced by all the enhanced security.
Yes, it's a police state, and we'd love to take your money. That's basically, yeah.
So she goes to the stock exchange. She's got to ring the bell. Now, I thought this was like wild, kind of like, I didn't think that Carrie was that popular. I guess I don't know what level of fame you need to become a bell ringer.
Well,
which also a little bit of a misnomer. It seemed like there was no bell. There was no actual bell to be rung.
I was disappointed that it wasn't actually physically ding-dong a bell around, that I wanted the ding-dong.
No, the bell should be in the middle of the stock exchange, and you should have to sort of like Tarzan yourself there should be a huge bell, first of all, gigantic.
Yes,
huge,
comically large.
Then you have to, there's one rope, and you have to swing from one end of the New York Stock Exchange to the other.
I agree, fully.
And then if you fall to your death, then no one gets to trade stock on that day.
People would be taking precautions. You'd really have to train for this shit. It wouldn't just be purely ceremonial. And when you're talking about how big a celeb do you have to be to ring the bell, I bet you get some kind of low-level ones, because you figure it's open every weekday during the year, right?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me talk to my stockbroker.
Yeah, exactly. John and I are big stock guys, as you can tell. I think it's the thing where you think throwing a first pitch at a baseball game, you'd have to be a big celeb. Mm-hmm. Each team has 81 home games. You're getting a lot of jabronis in there. You can't. It's not inconceivable that I could throw a first pitch. Right. You know what I mean? So
I don't think they need a celebrity to ring the bell every day, though. I mean, I feel like it's not an everyday thing, right?
I don't know. Yeah. This is
who could say?
Yeah, who can say?
But anyway, yes, some sort of sex columnist. Sure, why not? Why shouldn't she get to ring the bell too? Mm-hmm. But that's good. I honestly wonder if SJP as a celebrity got to do it.
This is an iconic New York City show. It's like, I think when people would say something like, really, the city's the main character, or like, and the fifth character is the city, I kind of feel like that comes from this, but it's kind of true in this case, where Sex and the City is like it's a very New York show. So it was a big hit. So I think it does make sense that SJP probably just did that.
Do you think Samantha was pissed? Do you think she was pissed?
Oh, Kim Cattrall? Or Samantha.
Yeah.
Kim Cattrall.
No, Kim Cattrall. Do you think because I know they feud in real life.
Yes, they straight up do not like each other. If they didn't get to do it as as sort of a team, then yeah, I think so.
That probably would have been the way to go. Just get the four ladies on there to do it at the same time.
All four up, pressing the button at the same time.
So now they have something juicy to talk about at brunch. Because they go to brunch. They go to brunch,
and Charlotte talks about how she's bought stock in Carrie's newspaper. Sam's talking about how she says tranny again.
Charlotte's actually just saying like Carrie. She looks Carrie dead in the eye. Did you notice this? I thought this was weird when she looked Carrie dead in the eye and said, "I could buy and sell your ass."
It's weird because she said it so coldly. I feel like I skipped right past it. But in hindsight, yes.
No, it was kind of weird. I don't understand. They didn't mention it again, and that was, I don't know. Maybe it was supposed to be edited out and they missed it. I don't know.
Yeah, that was strange. I agree. And Samantha is basically bitching about her neighborhood changing, about how it's getting gentrified. It's like, okay, Samantha, first, you didn't like all the, as you say, tranny hookers. Also, FY, don't say tranny anymore, people. That's not, I was surprised to see that again, but I guess it was only a year or two later, so times maybe hadn't quite changed as much. by this moment. But yeah, so Samantha's bummed out, I guess, because her neighborhood's changing.
That's absolutely hilarious to me that Samantha, who moved to this fucking neighborhood 2 years ago, is like, oh, rich people are starting to move into my neighborhood. Bish, you are the rich people moving into the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah. It's like, yes, it's, you know, white NYU grads complaining about Bushwick getting gentrified. It's like, you did it. Like, you did. You don't have to apologize for your presence somewhere and for living wherever you want and whatever. That's fine. But, yeah, it's like, Samantha, you're specifically who you're describing.
Right. 7 weeks ago, you moved here and dumped water on the residents that you call trannies.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, this episode felt like another pilot to me. You know, like it kind of, which I guess it's a season premiere, so it's resetting stuff. But you got to imagine, not a lot of people are jumping in season 6, episode 1. For the first time here for the final season. Maybe they thought they were, but it was sort of like there was a reset on Samantha. I thought like Samantha seemed to like go back to an older version of Samantha.
Right. You know? All the growing that she did with the relationship with Richard, all the sort of introspection about maybe getting older and wiser, like all that's back out the window. But I will say, Kevin, I think you bring up a good point, but it's like people in 2003 when this came out, I think people were watching TV differently. So this could have been a jumping in point for a lot of people. It's not like they had necessarily the previous 5 episodes streaming on demand.
That's true.
They'd have to go to goddamn Blockbuster to rent a disc at a time or something.
Yeah, that actually is true. There wasn't an HBO Go set up, and you would have had to have had the DVDs, I guess, probably at this point. So yeah, maybe so.
Is this the brunch where they talk, where Carrie's like, and new guys or something? Was she talking about her own guy at that point?
I think so, because she was.
Or was she talking about Charlotte's guy?
I mean, I think it's Carrie, so she's talking about herself, I think, would be my go-to guess. That she's very excited about her date with Berger. She's talking, and she actually says, I think we're going to be very happy together. Which actually, I think that might be a different brunch. There's a lunch and a brunch in this episode.
Right.
So that's tricky. But fuck it. Yeah, we can still talk about that.
Yeah, let's just pick a character and let's go. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Fuck it. Let's start big. Let's start with Carrie. Let's just go Carrie all the way through, and then the other ones.
That is big. Damn,
I know. Damn. Did I surprise you with my aggression?
You did. Well, he leaves a message for her, right? And it's a long, sort of rambling but charming message from him, where he reads out sort of movie phone-esque times and availabilities for different movies. And that's cute.
Did you ever plan out what you would say if you got the answering machine when you were calling girls?
I don't think so.
I think I did. I think I would have some. There was a time or two where I would have a beat in mind. I would be fine if the girl picked up. But if it went to answering machine, I wanted to have a destination,
I think I had like a thing I was going to say, but then I would definitely touch that base, and then I don't know what would happen next. I would just let it flow out of me. But he's very charming. And then Carrie's telling the people, yeah, I got this wonderful message. It was flexible and fun or whatever. It was perfect. And she's almost like negging this like potential relationship, like it's doomed. Why? I mean, that's like the prompt she writes. Like, why bother trying now? Is basically her thesis of the episode.
Yeah, her tie-in with the finance stuff is like, why do we keep investing?
I mean, it's very depressing. It's another way of just saying like, why bother? Why go on another day? I'm just going to be let down again.
And it's weird because her attitude is all pretty sunny to be coming at a point like that. Like, she's very optimistic. She feels like her stock is high, as she says. And it's a thing where she has another date, another guy gotten...
Right, and that's why her stock's high. Yeah, someone else left a message. So it's like one of those situations like when it rains, When it rains.
Well, and it's the kind of thing, John, have you felt this in your life, that when you're either in a relationship or when you're in demand... you find people more attracted to you. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And also, like, I mean, basically the same week I started dating my current wife,
Uh-huh.
the current Mrs. Lavin.
Yeah. Yes.
I had another date with a different woman that same week. It's crazy.
Do you remember
But
how
yeah.
it was? I mean, that's an interesting thing to remember, to just be like, I went on a date with someone else with, like, at the same time, basically, when I met my wife. Was it like a pretty good date, but, you know, never stood a chance, obviously?
No, yeah, it was fine. It was a fine date. It was like a daytime date, so that was like something I hadn't really ever done before, I guess. God, I've been watching Drag Race a lot, so
Yeah.
all I keep thinking of is like they have at the end you have to lip sync for your life, and some only if you're at the bottom, but like some people are just so good at lip syncing that they're assassins, and it's just like, well, if you just play against that person, you're gonna lose, basically.
Right.
So it's like this person, like, well, it could have been, you know, I mean, it wasn't like great, but it was like it would have warranted a second date, I'd imagine.
Right.
But not in this case. She got assassinated.
But she was going up against Kristen Lavin and just stood absolutely no shot. That, honestly, I hope you played this clip. I hope Kristen hears that exact clip, because that is, I think she would love how complimentary that is, that she was a drag race, drag queen, lip sync assassin against whom no one else stood a chance. That's vow material, dude.
No, she'll hear it and she'll be like, what, I'm in the bottom too, bitch?
You know I won that challenge. Yeah. I don't even bother learning the lyrics for the songs. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, Carrie basically talks herself into going on this other date that she's not even interested in. Right. Basically just, I'll use that as the, you know, warm up, or if I have a bad date in me, we'll get it out there, or whatever. I'll be casual there and just, you know.
He had like a super weird name, right?
And his name is John C.
If this show was taking place now, there's not a bad chance that John Cena would fuck Samantha at some point.
Oh my God. Oh, absolutely.
You know? He shows his butt in Trainwreck, and there's a lot of butts in this episode. We'll get to that later. But there's never any butts in Carrie's. Yeah, so Carrie goes on a date with this guy who is just like clownishly nervous.
Willie Applegate.
Goofy. Yeah. And he has a sty in his eye. He's stuttery. He squirts dressing in his eye. He's knocking over shit.
A bird lands on his head.
Pigeons land on him more than once. The bird lands on his head and then leaves, and then he says something like, "What was that?" Or like he didn't know it was a pigeon. Trust. You know it's a pigeon on your head. And then the pigeon comes back and lands on his arm. He knocks over the table and all that shit. It's just a lot, you know.
It's pretty funny, actually. I was kind of thinking, like, is she gonna go with this guy? Because he was like kind of funny.
Yeah, and I think, John, you and I think most people are attracted to this too, but I think you and I enjoy when someone just calls out the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where you don't try to be too cool about it. You just, you know, if stuff's being weird, you talk about how it's weird. So this guy basically is pretty upfront about just like, oh God, could this go any worse? And then he gets attacked by birds and knocks over a table and all that shit. So yeah, it's pretty fun.
It's kind of, I mean, what a singular opportunity it was for Carrie to just like start dating Mr. Bean. Essentially just someone, like I imagine this is how his whole life is. Like he's going to leave and then, you know, fucking get hit by a street sweeper and then be shat out the other side like all squeaky clean or something.
Yeah. Did you ever have like a clownishly bad first date that you can remember?
Oh my God. I mean, I had a date where I met my girlfriend at the time's parents in Chicago, and you were with me.
Yeah. And
did I burped at the table? I had like an involuntary burp at the table.
You did. What happened was it was me, and I went to high school with the girl that you were seeing. And so her parents kind of knew, they at least like knew who I was, I guess. We hadn't hung out really. But it was me, the girl you were seeing, and her parents at dinner. So in hindsight, it's weird that I'm there at all. Because I wasn't there with another girl too. You know what I mean? It was just me, you guys, and her parents. I think I was maybe doing more talking to her parents than you were, and then things got very quiet and you burped very loud, like in the perfect moment when it got quiet. And then I just started trying to talk immediately again. But yeah, that was pretty good.
And their parents are probably like,
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
Yep. That, my friends, is John motherfucking Daly.
that was pretty clownish. That sticks out. Do you have anything? I mean, it's hard to believe that you, Kevin McCaffrey, Mr. Suave, Mr. Rico Suave, would ever have had any clownish behavior on any date, really.
I think I'm trying to think the worst. The main thing that came to mind, and maybe I talked about this way earlier on the podcast, I can't remember, or maybe talked about it on the old College Stories podcast, but when I was in the Bahamas with 3 other dudes, there was a girl who was, this wasn't really I'm going to want to get hit with that sound effect again, if you don't mind. But it was me and 3 other dudes, and this girl who one of the other dudes in my group was really into, was just coming after me hard, and I was very not into it. And it was so it became awkward that way. She was like pretty handsy, and she was like, "Do you have a girlfriend?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Do you like her?" And I said, "Very much." But she just like kept talking to me and being very handsy. And then she wanted to do a shot, do a shot and chase it by like taking a lime, but like out of each other's mouths or something. Like she would have the lime, and like I'd take the shot and then take the lime out of her mouth. And I knew that's what she was going for, but I just very purposely pretended to not get it. So I just like ate it on my own. Like I took my own, and she. Yep. That's basically that. And then there was the I forget if it was it Aaliyah or Ashanti who had that always on time song. And this girl, that song comes on, she goes, "Oh, this is my song. Do you want to know why?" And I said, "Why?" And she goes, "Because I thought it said always on top, and that's kind of my thing." And I was like, cool. But I just like kept turning her down all night. So it was like very awkward. And then she did end up making out with one of the other dudes. So made out with Alex
always
Lewinsky.
On top. It's sort of my thing.
Yeah. One of the 2 main ways.
God. So this guy it was a funny thing. And I don't know why she even bothered to go on this. It was, to work out like her anxiety. Charlotte's like telling her to keep her options open at brunch. Like Charlotte's the one that talks her into doing this.
Yeah,
right?
I think, and it's partially just to not put too much pressure on the date. We talked recently, 2 episodes ago, about don't put too much pressure on the sex, on like big sex occasions. And this is kind of like that. Carrie's putting too much pressure on like this date's going to be perfect, everything's going to happen from here, and then you are set to fuck it up, you know. So I think that's Charlotte we're seeing a new Charlotte lately, and it's a good Charlotte.
Good Charlotte, man. I wish I had a good Charlotte fucking sound bite.
Well, they played the recorder for that Titanic theme, I think. That was good Charlotte, actually. Not a lot of people know. So,
I mean, that's kind of like Carrie doesn't do a lot until later on she's talking to Miranda, right? I mean, she's talking to Miranda at, I don't know, Union Square or 23rd Street again or whatever.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that more in Miranda's storyline, which we can do next. But basically,
the point is, she sees beef coming out of the side, the subway.
John Beef, Jack Berger,
Jack Beef
is coming out of the subway, and she freaks out, which is funny because this isn't a case where they haven't seen each other. They've seen each other multiple times before this, but I guess they both have, we're starting anew and we're dating now. So
and like Carrie wants to look good, and it's like, Carrie, this is like a better outfit that you're wearing than you sometimes wear.
Right.
My wife, who was watching with me, did not think that this was one of Carrie's better outfits.
That's good.
But Jack's like just looking. He's got. I mean, I think he kind of looks the way he always looks, but with more stubble.
She runs away.
She just runs away, just ditches her friend on the bench.
Who, by the way, is in a real talk right at that moment too. She's talking about her relationship with Steve, which we'll get into more. But yeah.
They. But anyway, Carrie runs off, and she runs into.
And his name is John C.
Come on, no. His name
There's
is.
no way to stop it. Is the problem?
If this was a bigger budget operation, we would have that. His name is John Cena soundbite, but with someone just saying Aiden Shaw,
and his name is Aiden Shaw, and he's wearing all denim.
He's rocking some buff Jay Leno realness, denim head to toe. John, this is, I think, a pretty good, jaw-dropping, and funny reveal.
Surprise, motherfucker.
As Aiden turns, it is a surprise, motherfucker, because he has a baby that he's wearing.
A baby. Yes.
A baby. He's wearing a baby, and Carrie, I think, takes it really well. I mean, it's shocking to find out, it's shocking to see an ex, because, like, he's an ex and they broke up pretty hard, but also when I see this, I'm like, oh shit, so Aiden's no longer in the running to end up with Carrie, is what I thought, which I still thought there was a chance for that coming
Unless it's her baby.
Well, John, that's my conspiracy theory coming into this, because this is the first episode. Carrie was, SJP was pregnant for all of season 5. She's no longer pregnant in season 6. And you know why? Because she had Aiden's baby and gave it to him. and
then acts surprised when she sees it.
This is my theory. He's wearing that baby. That baby's name is Tate Shaw. And
Tate Shaw. I will say also regarding Carrie, we passed over this early because it wasn't really a Carrie storyline. She was just on the phone, but she's wearing a shirt with like a plunging neckline, and it's like, oh, you've got the ladies are out.
Yeah, you're talking boob game on fleek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On fleek.
Yes.
Well, she's talking to Aiden, and it's like they're having like a kind of a fun, flirty conversation, as much as you can with the baby between you.
Sure.
He's got that cool papoose thing going on, which I have one of those too. Used to walk my girl out with that. It's a lot of fun. Aiden's like, yeah, my wife's inside the baby. Wait, did he say wife or did he just say the child's mother?
He said the child's mother.
Okay.
But then I thought he said he was married to another furniture person.
Oh, yeah. And oh my God. It's just like typical furniture guy marrying. He's like, don't laugh. I married someone else that's a furniture maker. It's like, that's not stupid. That's not like,
also,
of course you would.
Imagine if I laughed at that. Aiden, have you ever heard a funny thing in your life? No. So yeah, her name's Kathy. So I wrote Aiden's out of the running. Excuse me. Thank you. I thought
Kate's gonna get his dick blown off, and then what? It's back to Bon Jovi.
Yeah, exactly.
Timothy Oliphant, perhaps.
Jim Sirloin, her current man.
Jim Sirloin.
Jack Berger. I thought there was some really good stuff from Carrie here, basically, because they have this exchange, and it's like she sees an ex, and they so much of their lives are wrapped up in each other, but it's a pleasant moment, and they're both okay. And Aiden says, we should get coffee and catch up. And Carrie says, there's a type of date you can't wait for, which is with Berger. And she says, and the type of date you both know you'll never keep. And that's what them getting coffee is, it's bittersweet and it's wistful. But I think this is an interesting and sort of complex and mature moment. That is a thing that happens, so you see someone that you've loved that you're no longer with in that way anymore, and I think they're happy to see each other's doing well. And she says something along the lines of, basically realizing that, like the stock market, whatever, but that like if she and Aiden could survive the crash they put each other through, and come out, then, like, you know.
A first date is nothing. I'm like, okay, all right, Carrie.
Yeah, in terms of the first date thing, I don't get the comparison to the first. It's like, yeah, the first date really is nothing compared to that. But it is a big thing to be like, oh, wow, you went through this intense breakup with someone you definitely loved, and you're both okay now. Like, that's a poignant thing, you know.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I guess at the time, you know, it seems like your whole world's crumbling down, but turns out it's not. And you can just, you just... The way you move on is you just put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. Nice crack. Nice crack. That brings us to Samantha. Just kidding. It doesn't.
Yeah, Carrie didn't get... I mean, it seemed like a big Carrie moment, but it wasn't... You know, there's not a whole lot to say about it. It's sad to see AIDEN is out of the running, as you say. It does seem like... Do they know it's their last season of television or last half season? Or...
Yeah, at the time I read a review of the episode, and it had been announced that this is like an end date was set. So yeah,
right. And like, not to get too much into the other people unless we want to, but like, yeah, it does seem like we're sort of setting up for an end game here with at least two of the other ladies.
Sex in the City end game, yes. Infinity fuck.
I'm gonna fist you with his gauntlet.
I'll take Thor's hammer. Carrie, when she says, you know, first date's no big deal, she stops sweating what her outfit is and running away from Berger. She calls him on the phone and says, I'm right by the movie theater. You want to go now? To the movie. Do you remember the name of the movie, John?
Bunch of Love.
Craig's Room.
Well, Bunch of Love was on the ticker.
Oh, okay. They said Craig's Room earlier, so we could both be right, or one of us is right. They probably not both of us right.
And they're both looking their schlubby selves. He's like, "Oh, I had this perfect outfit." I mean, surely it's been so long since I've been on a first date, but like, surely I must have put thought into what I was going to look like when I saw someone for the first-ish time.
Right.
I mean, because the way it works is like you meet someone and then you set up a date after that most of the time. It's not like you're set up on a blind date or whatever. So they've already seen you at some level of like normalcy, probably, unless you met them at a formal occasion or whatever.
Yeah, you just want to bring your best foot forward on the next time.
I don't own any nice clothes. I do not. This is me cleaned up. This is as good as it gets.
Follow us at Sex in the City. It's on Insta. We should each post what we would wear on a first date now. A photo of us in our first date wear.
First date.
Little teaser. Man. Follow us at Sex in the City and see if it happens. All right, John, who are we talking about now?
Let's do Samantha.
Sure.
Let's get a little nice amuse-bouche of Samantha whining about gentrification. Her neighborhood. She's walking by her neighborhood gay leather bar.
Sure. Everyone, what's your favorite neighborhood gay leather bar, John?
I'm gonna say Squish.
New York's hottest club is Squish.
She goes by, she's walking by, she's seeing the leather daddies, and, you know, they're big, they're fuzzy, they're full of leather. One of them's got a gimp.
There's a deaf gimp out there, yes, for sure.
And she's walking by, and she's like, and, you know, they do a fun thing with the voiceover where Carrie's like, and then Samantha sees something shocking, and then it pans down to the gimp, maybe taking a squat on the sidewalk, and then pans back up, coming soon, a Pottery Barn.
And that's sad, but it only makes her sad for a minute, because then some hot dude gets out of a Hummer.
Chip Whitebread.
Yeah. What is his name exactly in this? I
remembered it was Chip, and then I think like another Mick name.
Chip Kilkenny was the character's name. And fun fact, according to Kyla, this actor auditioned to play a character in the next episode, but they liked him for this role better, so they swung him in to this. And I will say this guy, look, spoiler, he gets naked. He is so buff that...
Typical stock market guy.
I said,
typical.
Come on, when he got out of the shower. Samantha's coming on real hard, where she basically says, a nice car. I love a Hummer. And all this other stuff. She's just like full of fucking puns. It's season 1 Samantha all over again. Which
is great. I love season 1 Samantha.
Samantha's good at all times. It's just strange that it's this Samantha now.
Yeah. And she just drops all pretense of like whatever principle she had to be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to fuck this guy oh, my neighborhood's going to shit because yuppies keep moving in. But this guy parks his Hummer in the middle of the street, and it's like, all right, I'll fuck him.
Right. And then eventually she brings him a welcome basket, and that's when he's, like, getting out of the shower with a towel. He's already kind of showing his butt, and the welcome basket has any number of things, but condoms and handcuffs also. Then he's like, well, if I accept the basket, I'll have to drop the towel. And, she's like, yeah. And then he drops it, and she just, like, casually walks in, and... Samantha loves a blowjob. She loves a blowjob, and she blows this dude, and he says, that was the best effing head of my life. And he says effing. He doesn't say fucking. He says,
I missed it.
He said it was the best effing head of my life. And then he gives her a stock tip as a thank you, which she writes down.
It's so funny, dude. Like, You ever get head so good you commit a felony? Like, what the fuck? That was some real inside her trading.
Nice. Nicely done. We see both of their butts, equal butt exchange. Then eventually she's fucking him later with the handcuffs, and the FBI breaks into the apartment. And there's a funny moment where the maintenance guy is looking in, and she's riding this guy while he's in handcuffs, and she's like, "Hi, Juan." And there's a funny moment there, and then
Do you think Juan they've boned?
She and Juan, no. There's a chance Juan has blown her. I'll say,
because I could see, like, he's the super or whatever, or the landlord, and it's like, man, I want to get my curtains fixed or whatever. Maybe I can help move this process along.
Yeah, but she says all the good ones are getting arrested, like, while she's getting off this guy. Hell yeah, dude. God, it's like you scripted this out weeks in advance. This is a real Waka Waka episode for Sam, I wrote down.
Oh, wait, shit. I did it last week, too.
Yeah, dude. Your Waka Waka sound sucks. Man.
Damn it.
Yeah, your Waka Waka sounds blowing it. Yep. All right. Do you have anything else for Samantha?
I said inside her trading.
Yeah, you did. Are you like, the only thing I had was this great line I wrote. It's not a plot thing, but it's a bit I wanted to get in.
No, it was fun. It's just like super funny that she's like writing him while the FBI comes into the room. Like, she tries the weakest attempt ever at covering herself. She like covers her abdomen with her arms. The guy comes all the way in the room, and then like she's still on top of the fucking guy. Like, his dick is still inside of her when he's like, could you take your handcuffs off of him so I could put mine on? Like, like, you're gonna have to.
I want you to be Samantha's life coach, where you're just like, your hands are in your hair, just yelling at her like, Samantha, this is a serious legal situation. You have to get off his dick. I'm begging you. I implore you.
And Chip has just got like this aw shucks, oops, like look on his face, like, yeah, dude, you're gonna go to fucking jail. Like, Martha Stewart did time for this, Chip. You're not as cool as Martha Stewart.
Yeah,
so
Chip.
Guess what?
Let's do Miranda next. First of all, she has a gigantic head shit, I wrote down.
They really went over the top with it.
John, what's the most amount of shit you've had on your head as a father?
On my head?
Yeah.
I don't think I've actually, I mean, knock on wood. I don't know if I've had shit on my head. Certainly not my child's shit.
Sure,
my own
neighbors,
shit,
of course.
possibly.
Steve helps clean Miranda up, but he's like laughing about it, and then so Miranda threatens him with it, and he runs away. And did you sense the moment when she turned angry? Basically, he used both the words "mommy" and "daddy" in a sentence. I think it was very like comfortable and domestic, and connected them in a way that sort of laid a scenario out for her that could be but wasn't. You know what I mean? Where he said he was like talking to Brady and saying, like, Brady, tell mommy not to chase daddy around. So sort of linking them together in a familial unit like that. And I think that clicked with Miranda. and like sort of shook her, you know? And then she did her thing where she lashed out. She basically tells Steve, like, get a life, you know, or don't you have a life to not be here? It's very mean. It's cruel. And then he says,
don't you have a life? Yeah, I have a daughter or a son. I don't know what it is.
It's a son.
I haven't checked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's like, this is part of my life. I guess this is a big one. This is a big part of my life.
Right. And then Miranda, to her credit, goes to Carrie. And I think there's some real, like, okay, Carrie is Miranda's best friend, is what I'm getting out of this. Because she's one-on-one sharing this kind of shit with her together, where she's like, well, I lashed out at him. I was really mean because, you know, I looked over and realized we belong together.
I mean, for as many times as Miranda and Samantha have sort of like kind of fought and made up, you think that would almost be like a bone breaking and mending, and they say like when it mends it's stronger than it was before.
Totally. Yeah.
So yeah, they're getting like more and more friendship points, like if they were characters in a role-playing game, like they're earning
Yes.
friendship points to level up to another level of friendship.
Yeah.
But I guess they're not up to Miranda and
Carrie.
Carrie. Yeah, Carrie.
Yeah.
That's the one.
John's flipping the pages to get Carrie Smadshaw. Yes. Miranda ends up trying to plan her reveal to Steve, the best friend / father of her child. She has to reveal to Steve that I love you. And this is sort of a parallel with Carrie's storyline. They both have first dates that they're worked up about.
Right. And it's just funny because like this first date is with the father of your child who you spend much time with and you've been on several dates with.
Yes.
It's good. And like they show up and she's looking great and he's looking okay, I guess.
Well, before
and he's
that,
like, go ahead.
Before that, let me do the clip of the week, which is Miranda leaving a voicemail for Steve.
Hi, Steve. Hi, Steve. I need to talk to you about something. How about we do it over dinner? How's tomorrow night? Magda could sit with Brady. Let me know. Bye. Oh, it's Miranda. And
I just want to say, I know you can't hear this. I'll tell you when it's over. The last time I heard that, I had another child coming on the way. Who scripted this one, by the way, Kevin? Did you tell me? It seems like an MP King because this is a good sort of parallel with what Jack Berger. Wait, that's his actual name. That's so silly.
Did you fuck up and accidentally nail it?
He had this like effortlessly fun and flirty message that he left for Carrie, and then Miranda, who's scripted it all out on a legal pad, does not nail it.
Yeah, her throat clear was the fucking best, I thought. Like the clearing of the at the beginning had me actually laughing. And then ultimately she's at dinner, as you were talking about before, where she's dressed nice and go on.
Yeah. And then Steve, I did enjoy the line from Steve where it's like, are you going on a date later or something? Like, it's not clear to him that he's on the date. You're on the date. This is the date. One
thing Steve does is he really, when Miranda treats him away, he believes her, you know? Like, so he, you know, it's funny.
He doesn't have the capacity for abstract thought, so he can't, like, imagine a scenario where she's nervous for a reason or, like, lashes out, has, like, a sudden mood shift for a reason besides just, like, you don't like me. I guess. So, yeah, Steve's not getting that this is a date. And that's, you know, fine because he's sweet, simple Steve. So Miranda is working up the courage to tell him. And he's like, stop. This is a classic fucking rom-com Shakespeare shit where he's like, no, I don't want to hear what you have to say. I already know what it is. And it's because you don't like me. It's because you don't like me.
Yeah, and I've been hanging around the house too much. I've been being too much of a father to my kids. And,
we've been having too much of a good time together. But it turns out he's seeing someone else. He says that to her, and then she folds up real hard.
He says things are going pretty good. Don't worry, I'm not in love with you anymore.
Do you think he's fibbing here? Do you think he's?
Yes, I think he's still in love with her. What do you think?
Oh, he's absolutely in love with her.
Yeah.
He's never not going to be in love with her. And then she's very upset, and she confides with Carrie. She tries to confide with Carrie, and about like Carrie's like, well, what you could have just told him anyway, right? And she's like, don't
Yes.
talk about it. It never happened. I don't want to hear about it.
And that's another thing where I felt like points to Carrie as Miranda's best friend, because she's telling her both sides of this like revealing and vulnerable thing where she's like, okay, I told you this is the new direction of my life. I'm in love with Steve now. I need you to forget that. Like, you're the only person I told that, and I need you to forget that now. And Carrie, I think, is a good friend here, where she's kind of like, I think you should still tell him. You do what you're going to do, but I think maybe he loves you. She doesn't say maybe he loves you, but that's the implication.
Yeah, Steve would drop everything. He would it's going pretty good with this other lady. Okay, but Steve, what if I told you that you could break off a piece of this Hobbs ass right now?
Hashtag Hobbs ass.
I mean, if we're just gonna, it's the first episode of the season. If we're gonna say predictions, I do think that they're gonna end up together.
I think so too.
All right, so on to Good Charlotte.
Jewish me, daddy.
There was a lot of Yiddish phrases being tossed around here, like they weren't already commonplace. I guess in 2003 maybe they weren't, but
John,
it seems like.
Look, you're not a schmuck. You're a putz.
I'm not. I'm putz. I believe that's some sort of golfing term. I don't know. Charlotte starts to ask Harry, why did you start dating me if you knew this wasn't going to progress anywhere because I was not Jewish? Which is like a very fair question. And it seems like she has to ask it point blank because it's a fucking loophole in the logic of the show, I guess.
Well, I would say it's not a loophole in the logic of the show because I think it's a flaw in Harry. When he says, the reason why I went after you and kissed you and made love to you, he said, is because I couldn't stop myself. I couldn't not. You always can stop yourself.
Right. If you can't stop yourself, you probably should be at least in a hospital.
Yes. He basically let his feelings and, his instincts and whatever, his heart, his dick, whatever it was, take over. And he wasn't operating on thought. He was like, well, I'm here. This is what I'm doing. This is the moment. That's that. And then now they're in a situation where it's like, turns out we really like each other too. It wasn't just hooking up,
I don't know, man. I don't know.
To me, it's believable, but it's just a flaw in him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, it's a flaw in him, but it's just like, this is the one deal breaker. I just feel like they set this up because it's like a big culture clash between waspy Charlotte and a very Jewish guy, and it's like, all right, so this will create some friction or whatever, but we have to give them, a big hurdle that they have to jump over, and the hurdle is, it turns out that this guy can only marry a Jewish woman, and it's like,
I feel like this does happen. Is what I think. But to me, when he says, I want to raise my kids Jewish, that's one thing. But you don't both have to be Jewish for that to be the case. You know what I mean? When you're marrying someone and you say, oh, they have to be my religion, and then they convert to the religion, in many cases, they're not really your religion now. You know what I mean? Sometimes maybe, yes, they fully believe this new set of beliefs, but like usually it's jumping through a hoop to be like...
They never believed anything, and they still don't.
Yeah, I think that's most often. Yes.
Right.
So,
Kevin, what would you... yeah, all right. So, we're kind of... that's kind of jumping ahead, I feel like, Kevin.
Well,
okay. Who's talking about converting? That'd be insane, right?
Right.
They only just met. They met weeks ago, really.
Yes. We find out that Harry eats pork, so there's plenty of Jewish things that he's not sweating. And
he's a conservative Jew.
Yeah, which is weird because he sweats almost everything otherwise, physically.
Sorry.
He says but I don't get the conservative Jew. I mean, maybe I just don't know what that is, I guess. But
I think it's actually a step down from Orthodox. Orthodox is the top level of Judaism, and then one step down is conservative.
I've been to an Orthodox Jewish wedding. It's pretty hardcore. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's several levels of Jewish. He doesn't seem that conservative to me at all, really. It's just like he made his mom a promise, and that's what he says. Also, I did like that they have comedy sex scenes now. Like Charlotte's on top of them and just like, basically talking about Jewish stuff and, whatever. I like what it's doing for Charlotte's character in general. She's a lot more fun now.
Oh, yeah, Charlotte's more fun. I mean, it absolutely tracks that Charlotte is using sex to try to get her goals as a means of achieving her goals.
Right.
She's trying to fuck the Judaism out of him, I guess. She's trying to drain it out of his body.
She literally says, asks him if being Jewish is that important when he's about to blow. And he doesn't even remember it the next day. And he says, Charlotte, I don't know my own name when I'm about to nut, basically.
I mean, that sounds like a hilarious, Memento parody to me. I mean, sure, you're in the moment, but, you don't, forget. I feel like I don't forget things like that.
No, you could be like, oh, I said some things I didn't mean. That's possible. But, completely not remembering it is weird. Yeah. Charlotte gets to the bottom of, why is it this important? Which is a fair question. If someone's you would have to be a different religion for me to continue with you, even though we click in every other way. And then he says, I promised my mom, she lost people in the Holocaust. And then Charlotte, it was funny where she's like, now I can't say anything because you brought up the Holocaust, which is it's a funny line. It's also a fair point. She's like, I don't know, I could keep having this conversation, but I'm not going to beat the Holocaust,
And yeah, it's the ultimate, really the trump card here. I don't know. It just seems so weird that he was so aggressive in pursuing her when he and she.
I agree with that.
No, he doesn't. He knows what the fucking the cap on this is. I'm fully aggressively pursuing her, perhaps inappropriately so. Again, cornering her in this bachelor pad where he has a remote control that locks the door Matt Lauer style.
He chased her down. And that I agree. That part is a little bit, more than a little bit, I think, not cool. It's one thing if you're talking and it just happens, or she is sort of instigating things more, but he really chased it down and then brought this up. So I think I agree with you there. And then when they're talking, he says, I would want my kids raised Jewish. She mentions, well, here's the thing about me. I might not be able to have kids. And he said, Charlotte, I love you. Then fine, we'd adopt or whatever. Fuck it. We'll figure it out.
What are you going to do?
Yes, thank you. That is what he says. What are you going to do? And then the voice.
If Charlotte said, what are you going to do to well, I can't marry you because you're Jewish. Because you're not Jewish, I should say. If she said, what are you going to do? Well, I guess we'll just continue not being married, I guess.
Yes. And basically, the voiceover says that Charlotte, in that moment, was touched by Harry's humor, compassion, and acceptance. And if that's what Judaism is, then maybe she would look into it. Here's the thing. That's what all religions are, in theory, compassion and acceptance. One accepting thing would be accepting someone who wasn't born into the exact same religion as you, as an equal and as a still spiritually compatible person. I would say, John, if Kristen had been I don't even want to ask that. It's an unfair question to be if Kristen, it's a deal breaker, you got to be my religion. Would you do it?
I was just going to ask you, would you convert for anything, I guess?
My thing is
convert to, and you get to pick the religion you convert to.
I would say no, because just out of principle. I think more if it was genuinely important to the other person, I'd be like, we'll raise the kids like that. But I don't want to pretend, I don't want to fake it. So I don't know.
It's just weird where it's oh man, I'm sorry, I promised my mother I'd only marry someone that was from Jamaica or whatever. And it's like, well, I passed the Jamaican citizenship test. Great. Well, that's not, but you're not really from Jamaica, though, are you? You don't actually have any sort of relationship to Jamaica. You just did it on a whim.
That's what I'm saying. This shit's paperwork. Like, it's not actually the thing. So we're faking out everybody, and God can't possibly be fooled by this. Yeah. Otherwise, what dumbass bureaucratic God are we trying to please with this shit? You know what I mean? Is God really checking our credentials on the way in like that? Like checking the IDs and, did you get your master's? Like, what?
I will say that, when I married Kristen, she was pretty staunchly that I had to convert to the Church of Satan. And listen, at first, the ritual animal sacrifice, that was tough.
Yes. But then you got a taste for it.
Yeah, it just kept going. No, I'm with the Church of Latter-day Saints now, as you know.
It's a good church. Sweet. That's all we got, I think. Thanks for listening, everybody. Please do follow us on Instagram at Sex and the City. Follow us on Twitter at SexIdiotsPod. Putting up more content every day. Happy kind of last season beginning, John.
I know. Kind of. Happy last season beginning too. I know. We'll just start over.
We will.
We'll start over episode 1. We'll know more.
Thanks for listening, everybody. I sure don't. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
It's Brittany, bitch. Kevin and John have not had much going on for the last 20 years that they've been friends. Still they miss that hit show that was on HBO. But it's time to whip out Cosmopolitans. Now they're just two dudes watching Sex in the City. And they're probably gonna miss the points, 'cause they're Sex in the City. Sex in the